Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics, and in this video, I'd like to discuss reports of Boris Johnson's plans for when he's replaced, which involves remaining in Parliament in order to cause trouble as an act of petty revenge against the Conservative Party. Okay, in line with expectations, but for one thing, I think if these reports are true, Boris Johnson may be forgetting something really important. But first, if you'd like to be notified of daily news and politics, please subscribe to the channel and click the bell notification icon. So I've seen talk that when the Tory leadership contest is over, about a week into September, Boris Johnson won't be quitting Parliament as I'd have expected. He's apparently going to stage interventions on Ukraine, Brexit and levelling up, I heard. Now, what does that mean? Well, it means he's claiming he's going to remain in Parliament to ensure that what he reckons are his legacies are preserved. That the new leadership doesn't ignore levelling up or his Brexit legacy or support for Ukraine, you know. What he is trying to claim are the important issues that he put front and centre. In reality, what it means is he wants to cause trouble. As soon as I read this, I thought Ted Heath. Ted Heath was the Conservative Prime Minister who actually took us into the EEC. We've got that to thank him for that. But he lost power to Labour in 1974. But then he refused to step down. So he lost a party confidence vote and was replaced by Margaret Thatcher. Now, he was not a gracious loser, and he remained in Parliament for years afterwards, driven by bitter resentment towards Thatcher. He did not like her one little bit. And this is what Johnson's going to become, isn't it? Or what he thinks he's going to become. He wants to trip up the new leader as much as possible, pretending that he's there to secure his legacy. You know, keep the party on the straight and narrow. But really what he wants to do is to be there when they lose the next election. Then he'll intend to stand up to his parliamentary colleagues for the biggest I told you so speech that humanity has ever seen. Johnson has fallen. Part of me thinks he should embrace it. He's a greedy man. And an ex-Prime Minister has ready access to a lot of lucrative opportunities. He could live like a king. Yes, an exiled king away from his palace, but a king nonetheless. But another part of me thinks he'll now be driven to see his successor fail and the party beg him to come back. Does his ego need that? Does his ego need them to beg him? At least to express deep regret for getting rid of him. Does he at least want the party to say we should never have got rid of Boris? But ideally, he'll want them to beg him to come back. Maybe this is why he wants to hang on as an MP, so that he can become their leader again after the next election. Maybe he thinks he can win the following general election and spend the following 10 years in power, with a smug grin so large it would put the Cheshire Cat to shame. Maybe this is what's going on in his head. But if it is, and I'm just speculating, of course, I think he may be forgetting something very, very important. In fact, a lot of people seem to be. It's driving me nuts right now. There's loads of people expressing concern about what Boris Johnson is up to. Oh, has he really resigned? Yes, he has. Well, he hasn't resigned, but he is. There's nothing he can do about it. He's going. Deal with it. Or what he'll do after September, even for those who accept that he is not going to be Prime Minister from the 6th of September. They're going, well, what's he up to then? And absolutely pay attention to what he's up to. But I feel like I'm in some weird fantasy where history's rewritten itself. And I remember what happened, but everyone else is oblivious. Because have we all forgotten about the Privileges Committee investigation? Do some people think that because, you know, Johnson's stepping down, it's been dropped? It has not been dropped. The investigation was ordered by a vote in Parliament. Parliament hasn't voted to cancel it. It's still going ahead. In fact, that committee has just ordered Boris Johnson to hand over what is reported to be a very large amount of evidence. They want diaries from the times associated with the rules-breaking Downing Street gatherings. They want photographs, notes, Johnson's briefing packs, emails, resignation letters, door logs. Door logs. This investigation is still going on. And do you know what? It's very, very serious. They are asking for all the right evidence to piece together exactly what happened on those events that have already been looked at by Sue Gray and the Met Police. If Johnson had stepped down immediately as Prime Minister and then resigned as an MP, it may still have gone ahead, but not being an MP, they wouldn't have been able to issue any punishment. So I could imagine then that Tory MPs would have voted to halt the investigation, said, well, it doesn't matter now. I don't know. But Johnson is still Prime Minister. And he's still in Parliament. And what's more, he reckons he's planning on being an MP for some time to come. Prime Minister, I hate to break it to you. Actually, I don't. I love to break it to you. You may have no say in the matter. This investigation is going ahead. They are investigating a series of potential lies in Parliament, deliberate lies. If they find him guilty of deliberately misleading the House, even once, and they're looking at several cases, then they may have to recommend a severe penalty. In fact, they'll have to. There is no may about it. They have to. It has to be a more severe penalty than the one they gave to Owen Paterson, because this is more serious. This will be a suspension from the House of at least 10 days. That is the threshold for a recall petition. The only way to stop it would be for Tory MPs to vote to block the punishment. But that would be a very bad look for them in public. Also, if Boris Johnson is planning to cause trouble for the party, they might not even want to stop the suspension. For the recall petition to succeed, it would need 10% of eligible voters in Johnson's constituency to support it. This would easily be achieved for what is, since Johnson took the seat, a marginal constituency. Used to be a safe seat, but he knackered it. That means Johnson is no longer an MP. There would be a by-election. Now, Boris Johnson could, in theory, stand for that by-election. His party may not let him. They might withdraw the whip, get another candidate, effectively excommunicating him for a time, or they might let him stand, I don't know. Labour could have a decent chance of winning the seat, then Johnson isn't an MP. In fact, it would be hilarious if he stood for the seat and lost it to Labour. It will cement the view that he is not an electoral asset at all. And then he won't be able to cause trouble on the pretext of defending his legacy. Well, he will in the newspapers and the Telegraph and so on, but he won't be able to do it in Parliament. MPs on both sides of the House may breathe a sigh of relief, and Boris Johnson will have to spend his days shouting at the ducks in the park. So how likely is all this? Well, the Privileges Committee are gathering a lot of evidence. I can't see them fudging the investigation. A majority of the committee are Tory MPs, but they are regarded as being trustworthy for this role. In addition, it's a double-edged sword that, because if they let Johnson off, the public would see it as a stitch-up. Privileges Committee let him off, Tories will say, oh, look, he was innocent after all, to which the public will go, were there any Tory MPs on this committee? Oh, yeah, most of them were Tory MPs. Oh, yeah, a bit of a stitch-up. Because you're not going to convince the public he hasn't lied. Frankly, I think the evidence already in the public domain is fairly overwhelming. But once that committee has got access to these documents that show who was in which parts of the building at what times, they're going to catch Johnson out in some lies in Parliament. I think it's game over. Come late September, I think there'll be a lot of pressure from Tory MPs to get Johnson to quit as an MP. If he's found guilty, the suspension they recommend will have to meet the threshold for recall petition. No credible way of giving him a slap on the wrist. It will look ridiculous. I don't think Tory MPs will vote the suspension down, because that would damage their brand further and allow Johnson to sabotage their preparations for the next election. Would be madness. But if they want to make themselves look like stooges and allow Johnson to keep splitting the party from within Parliament, they can be my guest. So I don't know what is in Johnson's mind. Is he really thinking he's going to carry on in Parliament like Ted Heath and glower at his successor as he did to Thatcher? Does he think he's going to be on hand for when his successor falls so that he can relish the prospect, as Theresa May is doing now? I wonder if she's tried to get up close to him in the lobby since last week, walked past him and whispered in his ear. Not nice, is it, you little shit? But Theresa May has certainly been looking quite relaxed recently. Big old smiles. Maybe Johnson fancies a bit of that grim satisfaction, a bit of schadenfreude for himself in a few years. But I'll tell you something. I do not think that Boris Johnson is going to be an MP for the rest of this Parliament. It's not just his time as Prime Minister which is numbered. His career as an MP is not going to carry on very much longer unless something quite extraordinary happens. But those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. Hope you found the video interesting. If you did, please click the like button. If you'd like to support the channel further, the join button for memberships. And until next time, I'll see you later.